morning and welcome to the Wright County Board of Commissioners meeting, August 6, 2019. We'll begin today's meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hey, good morning everyone, and we're short a couple commissioners today, and Commissioner Potter did not get the message about wearing red today, I guess. So.
Yeah.
Thanks for blaming him.
Well, it'd be red, white, blue, so you're right.
Yeah. The other two commissioners are at EOC, right?
Yeah, they're having emergency operations drill today, so Commissioner Vetch and Commissioner Hewson. So anyway.
They're actually doing county business.
They are working, yeah. So we'll start off with the minutes.
I'll make a motion to
7:23.
approve the minutes.
Second.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Delyden, second by Commissioner Potter to approve the minutes. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Review and approval of today's agenda. Lee, did you have any changes at all?
Yes, Mr. Chair, just one, not really a change, but just a clarification on the Sheriff's Item J, requesting signatures on that joint powers agreement regarding the work release. Just a clarification that authorizes a change in the fee schedule for those pay-for-stay, other county, state folks from 55 to 57.50. So not really a change in the action, just wanted to clarify that to call it out for the board and make the appropriate adjustment on the agenda. So,
Okay, so we don't need to really change the agenda, but just
wanted to call that out and notate it.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Delyden, second by Commissioner Potter to approve the agenda. Seeing no other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. The consent agenda today, does anyone have anything they would like to pull for further consideration?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I guess I'll second it.
Motion by Commissioner Potter, second by Commissioner Delyden to approve the consent agenda. Just that workshop is going to be an all-day event.
Yes, we're working to schedule that to try and keep it moving and make sure folks don't have to sit for the whole thing and can come and go on timed items. So,
Okay. Anyway, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Consent agenda is approved. The timed agenda. We have first up our county auditor, Mr. Robert Hevola.
Hey, good morning, Board. I do want to acknowledge appreciation that you kept me on at 9:02, even though mostly it's ditch items. So I'm going to have Matt kind of walk you through these first items. So Matt.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. My first item for today is I am requesting permission to seek bids for 2 separate repairs on County Ditch number 20. And I do have a little PowerPoint slide for you so we can go through some of the issues that we're having on it. So just to get you familiar, County Ditch 20 was established in 1913. Majority of the repairs will be taking place just south of Summers Lake. We have ordered a redetermination of benefits. It's in a draft form, and the viewers will be presenting it to us in the next 2 to 3 weeks. But I'm hoping to go out for bid to try to get some work done this year because we are having some pretty major issues on the system. The only thing that I would like to state is this is actually a joint ditch between Commissioner Vetch and Commissioner Hewson's districts. I didn't realize they were going to be gone today, so that might be something if you wanted to wait, I could, but I could give you my spiel for the rest of kind of what the repairs we're looking at doing and that sort of thing.
Well, I don't think that either one of them would object to getting the bids, so we can move on.
don't believe that.
No, because we can always turn down the bids if they're too high, so.
Yeah, they're just over that threshold, so it's
Yeah, no, it never hurts to check that out.
Yeah, the first repair, and we did a little work back in May on this part. It's actually on the main line of the ditch. We did a couple spot repairs. We had a couple blowouts. We went down and found the tile. The tile is about 12 to 13 feet below the ground. It's single wall perforated tile, which single wall shouldn't be used that deep underground. It's not thick enough. It gets compacted, and then obviously with a perforated tile, you're gonna have a lot of sediment and stuff getting in there. So we got kind of to the point where we couldn't do much more in that area without actually replacing it all with a thicker dual wall tile.
Is that a clay tile?
No, it's actually a newer plastic.
Oh, it is. When was that replaced?
82. So, and I know some of the areas, to the west, about 5 to 6 feet deep, so you could use a single wall tile there, but it cuts through a really large hill, and it should have probably been dual wall or something.
Yeah, well, 82 was
What's-
probably plastics were fairly new.
What size is this?
12 inch.
12 inch. What's the length that we're talking, like that
Right there,
circle?
2,300 feet.
Yeah, that's what we're looking at replacing. You can see, it's a little hard to see with the lights, but this is actually, was cut as an open ditch right there. And the water's kind of just sitting there ponding. The main issue is up in this area, which I'll have a picture to show you next. The farmer's losing about, I'd say 15 acres of standing water, plus another 5 to 6 acres that are unfarmable due to his tiles running through there and just the amount of water in the soils there. So it's a pretty significant area that's being lost.
And you did some tests to find out that the tile is just sitting full of water then?
Yeah. So the repairs that we did were up in this area. We worked back, did a test dig here, test digs here, 2 of them, to try to find where the blockage was. And when we got to it, it just, usually in those areas, it really kind of bubbles up, and it wasn't doing that. So that kind of showed that the whole line somewhere from, the end here to where we did the repairs is blocked. It might have a kink in it. There might be a lot of sediment that has gotten into the line that's not able to push out just because it's, the pressure. Sometimes you can find specific areas like that, replace that section, and then the back pressure will actually force all the rest of the sediment out. We just couldn't find the exact area, and we got to the point where we knew that we would continue to have issues since the line is single wall.
Well, and it would be best if you had smooth wall on the inside rather than perforated, because the perforated on a 12-inch
Yep.
tile is about an inch, so you could get a branch across there if anything got in.
Yeah, so it was just at that point, we tried to do, like a time and material repairs. That actually gets a lot more expensive than just going out and knowing you're gonna replace, at least per hour charge, replace this whole line, because then the contractors know exactly what they're doing.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Mr.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Matt, my point is, if we're going to initiate repairs on these things, let's do it the right way. Let's not do it the cheap way, or this will get by for a while. Let's just do it the correct way. It's gonna be a lot less disruption for all the farmers and everybody out there for long term. Single wall perforated, I'm not sure what the wisdom was back then, why doing that. They obviously didn't consult anybody before they did it, because just about anybody with elementary school knowledge on that would have told you, don't do that.
Yeah.
They even have it where pipes, drainage pipes, sewer pipes and all that, where if you're over a road or certain depth, that they even have an extra thick one to make it so there's no way it can crush.
Yeah, and that's, and then how you're backfilling that, I don't know how it was backfilled at the time, but, obviously you want to, properly bed it too, and then if you're backfilling it, if you're dropping dirt and sediment from 15 feet or 12 to 15 feet up, dropping it right on the line, you might be crushing it immediately after you're putting
Correct.
it in there. So that's all stuff we want to make sure when it gets done properly with the right materials.
So are you anticipating when they put the line in to have it compacted around until they get to the top of the line to make sure it stays in place and nothing can mess with it, and then go from there?
Yeah, what we found when we excavated the line, we replaced a small section with dual wall. The single wall line actually had kind of a V poking up into the line, so you'd have a normal circle line like this, but actually impression in along the whole line, which shows that maybe like a rock or something got stuck in there when they were laying it, and it just creased the tile line all the way down too, which when you have kind of a bow like that, that was probably during the time that it was installed, that those issues. So it's been, since it was installed, it was probably not functioning at 100%. Then you get sediment accumulation, perforated lines have a lot of, sediment that can get into there, and when we actually got the line open, a lot of clay was in the line that actually shot out. So water did start moving a little bit better, but it'll never drain to where it was originally intended to based off its current condition. So.
All right, so you're looking for a motion to,
Yeah, so this is
Sick
the
beds.
first repair. I just want to, so the next picture I'm going to show you is kind of up in this area. You can see all the standing water. This is actually was cut open to allow water to get through what was probably a busted tile line. So this is the area I was talking about where he's losing a lot to just standing open water. Here's basically a field road that he has that's completely underwater now. And this is kind of, portion, this should all basically be drained down to the bottom of it at some point. This was June. So, after, obviously we have a pretty crazy year with all the rain events. So, but I just don't think that, how this is functioning now, this is where the tile line actually enters this open section. It'll never drain down. There's actually another tile line that they put in above it to try to provide some relief, but, it's a 3 to 4 foot difference.
okay,
And then here again, kind of just some of the issues that you're dealing with. This is some of the old line that wasn't replaced. It's backwashing around in here, and you can see the clay segments that are basically covered and probably filled in with sediment now, and now it's just washing around. That's the first repair that I would like to try to address for a gentleman's name is Tom Segner. He's been really great to work with, helped us out a lot there when we were out in the field. I know he's motivated to get it done, so I was hoping to try to seek bids and get it fixed for him this year.
okay, well, we'll find out what the costs are, if we can get a motion to,
Well, you got two.
Yep.
It's all on
want
the
them,
same motion.
you want them separate, or?
Yep, so should I do the
You
next
could,
one real quick?
Mr. Chair, I think both these could go together. It says two separate repairs, but we're just seeking bids on them, so we can.
They're on the same ditch.
The same ditch, so it's not gonna be too confusing. If they were 20 and 33, then I'd say two separate motions, but since they're on the same one, there's repair number 1 and repair number 2. I think we can do it all in one motion and be just fine, because it's,
Like I said, and
The
yeah,
bids would be separate, we can do it on the same motion, okay?
Okay.
You want to make that motion?
so moved, Mr. Chair.
Well, you don't want to hear? Maybe he's got all this beautiful PowerPoint. I think we should hear what he's got to say. I hate to steal his thunder.
All right,
Okay, I'll suspend my motion until
we got a pretty busy one today, so.
standing room only.
I saw that water in the ditch, I thought that was enough.
So here is kind of what we're dealing with a little bit farther down. This is actually a 5-foot sewer
Yeah.
type cement line, much bigger than what we normally deal with. We were out in the field for a couple of days trying to figure out how to fix it. You can see some of the joints here are busted up. This is actually a huge blowout here. I'd say this is about 8 to 9 feet deep, 20 feet across, where you can see that there's actually a farmer's tile line that's going down into there, and they actually broke the ditch line there to allow their water from their tile line to get into there. So in this case, the farmer would actually have to pay for this one since he damaged our tile line and, putting his line into there.
But from that point downstream, it looks like it's draining though.
It is, but you have a lot of these, here's a pretty major gully. You have blowouts or washouts, I'd say, on the tile line there where all the sediment's getting in across this field.
That's bigger than 12-inch there.
Oh, this is 5 feet,
5
yeah.
foot.
This is a huge tile line. You can see it's pretty shallow too here. There's not much sediment on top of there, so you might want to do some.
So are they looking to replace this section too?
The tile itself, here's another one, is actually in pretty good condition except for some of the joints. So the idea is to excavate around to fix those joints there, whether it's concreting it, trying to do something like that, wrapping it with some sort of apron or something like that, and then just trying to rebury it. If it was completely busted
How
line,
far is that segment that's at 5 foot?
that 5 foot.
How long is that
They're like
section?
Well, they're like 8-foot pipes, 10-foot pipes.
Yeah, so so these where all the blowouts are.
Holy cow.
I'd say it's probably 2,500 feet. that
Of,
whole
of that 5-foot tile?
It's huge. I mean, it would have been really expensive
The
whenever they
joints
put it.
kind of pulled apart. I'm not sure who installed it or why they, because those things, once you bring them home, they don't usually separate like that.
Oh, yeah, so it's kind of.
So where is the 12-inch and where is the 5-foot then?
So the 12-inch, I'll have to go back a few. So here's where the 12-inch line is. It goes to an open ditch here in the purple. And then right here is where it starts as a 5-foot. That's basically a sewer line, all the way to where it reaches open ditch down here again. So this is where all these blowouts are for the repair number 2. And then this is where repair number 1, where the 12-inch line.
It's gonna cost a fortune to do anything.
Yeah, so we did have Josh Gabrowski go out there. We had a couple blowouts that happened since he went out there, but his original quote to fix it was $32,000. So now with the extra blowouts, I'm thinking around $38,000 to $40,000.
Yeah. A lot of flex tape.
Yeah, and honestly, it's kind of out of, you don't get 5-foot drainage lines very often, so how do we fix it the best way? And as a permanent fix, I'd probably want to get someone else's advice on that too, with a little more experience doing that.
Well, that first picture showed a lot of trees in there, which would be an issue. So those will have to get removed, I'm assuming.
Yeah, so you can see, I mean, I showed, pictures of 3 or 4 of them. I mean, there's about 10 of them, kind of the same issue, big holes in his field where, the farmer has to now work around to try to farm. Pretty big issue, so.
Can't we just ignore it and it'll go away? Oh, okay, wait a minute, that's what they've been doing for 100 years, okay.
So I just wanted to kind of keep you guys
Okay,
on that. So.
I'll make a motion to seek bids for 2 separate repairs on County Ditch number 20.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Lyden, second by Commissioner Potter. Further discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Commissioner
Yes,
Potter.
yes, Mr. Clinton, Commissioner Lyden just wanted to make the motion, not the second, and you just,
Yep.
yep, that's all, it's all about, it's all about Mark.
Okay,
I
sounds,
figured we'd take turns, making motions. You
okay.
had the last one.
Oh, okay.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Lee, I gotta get these 2 under control here, okay?
You're the chair. Don't look at.
I'm just out of practice. I haven't done it for a while. Okay, schedule a public hearing for the redetermination of benefits on County Ditch number 33 for August 27th at 2 p.m. Is it gonna be a good date for us with our budget stuff going on?
Just way at the end.
That's I kind of wanted, because we were actually hoping to have Houston Engineering come out and do a little informational meeting after that too, which I just found out they can last night, so.
Yeah, we don't have anything else scheduled.
No, I guess it is.
We should have all the budget stuff done by then. Assuming everything goes as planned.
Okay,
I'll
so,
make a motion to set the public hearing.
wait a minute, I thought we were taking turns here.
Oh,
I'll
you're
have to
right. I'm
respect
sorry.
I'll have to respect my elders on this, I'll second
Go
that.
ahead, it's okay.
Well, I thought you wanted to try. I'll make a motion to set August 27th for redetermination of benefits at County Ditch 33 at 2 p.m., contingent on the other 2 commissioners being able to make it.
We might have to amend it otherwise, okay.
Yeah.
All right, motion by Commissioner Delighten.
Where's
Oh, wait. there's a-
33 at?
You got a second first.
I already did second.
Oh, you did? Okay, I didn't hear you. Okay, motion by Commissioner Lyden, second by Commissioner Potter. Further discussion. Go ahead, Commissioner Lyden.
Where's 33 at?
Monticello.
Oh, that's the one that goes over by the freeway and, oh,
So we had the informational meetings and stuff with landowners last week, and now we, be the public hearing to adopt the viewers report, so.
yeah, I actually had somebody call me on that one.
Oh, yeah, because you got a big chunk of ditch over there, so.
Yeah, he's just trying to figure out how getting 2 additional acres of land would improve his value by $70,000.
That'd be a good question to ask, yeah.
And I hope he attended the meeting with the viewers.
I don't know, I haven't had a chance to talk to him on Scanlon last week, but I hope he did too. Knowing him, he did.
So, Further discussion?
So just, Mr.
Go
Chair,
ahead.
given that timing, that'll be a ditch committee of the whole, I assume, if it's
Yeah.
2 o'clock in the afternoon. We don't have any meetings planned for that day, so that looks clear on schedules.
And was there a reason you went 2 o'clock instead of 1 o'clock?
Well, we were, like I said, we were hoping to have Houston Engineering come out kind of after that, and they weren't able to make it that morning, so then we scheduled it for,
Later?
yeah.
Okay.
So essentially, we would have the viewers come, we would do the public hearing to adopt it, and then since all the landowners are already here, we would have just an informational meeting for them. Houston would cover potential repair costs and that sort of thing.
Sounds good. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Next up,
Yeah.
schedule a ditch committee for August 13th.
If available, I know that's a workshop day. So that would just need to be 2 commissioners, so we'd recommend Commissioner Burrell, because it's in your district, and someone else attend.
We got another meeting, don't we? Or that's the
Well-
workshop day, and we got a lot going on.
I was going to say, Commissioners, I was anticipating that workshop is going to potentially spill into lunch, or if we take a break, it'll have to be in the afternoon. We have 5 topics, a couple of those I'm anticipating will be a minimum of 20 minutes.
Can we do it later at all?
I could, any day you guys want, if the 13th doesn't work, we can, I was just suggesting a date.
I believe he was talking about later in the day.
That same day? Yeah, we could do that. So it's at 1, so,
Yeah, well, and we have community action that day at 6:30, and then we have, it'll be a full day, but should we say 2 o'clock? That would leave it 3?
No, I think it's gonna be at least 3:30 maybe.
Lee, what would your guess?
Who else is all gonna be there? Just us?
we just
You?
need 2 commissioners. Greg Kreiser will be there, assuming Bob will attend.
Oh, okay, so nobody from outside.
Where is
so-
the meeting going to take place?
I think we'll probably just hold it in our auditor treasurer's room if it's available, or we'd have to find another room. So it doesn't need to be anything formal, board. I mean, it's more of a planning meeting moving forward, kind of giving some updates.
You can have anybody there, from Soil and Water?
I wasn't planning on it, I
Okay.
can.
No, I was just curious.
Okay, but I was hoping that Mark Orger, the engineer, would be able to call in at least for that meeting
Okay.
too, to kind of be part of it, so.
Well, should we set it for 3:30?
That'd be fine. And if,
Okay.
Shouldn't take very long, so.
All right, so you want to make that motion?
I'll make a motion to set a meeting, ditch committee meeting for ditch 10 at 3:30 on August 13th. Just requiring Charlie and I'll be there.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Delighten, second by Commissioner Potter. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Next up, request approval of a benefited landowner Rodney Holland granting permission to clean out a portion of County Ditch 35 at his own expense and authorize the staff to oversee the repair.
Yeah, so, Benefit landowner Rodney Holland approached us. Mike went out and did a site inspection. It's mainly he's having trouble with his access road. So the clean out would really just kind of benefit his general area. So Mike didn't recommend as a repair for, full system improvements. So Rodney still wanted the work done, offered to pay for it himself. But I definitely recommend if we do something like that, and maybe Brian could, come up
Well,
here and speak on it.
it isn't unusual at all. We've had on ditch 31 down our way, we had a lot of the farmers that did that, so, and it seems to work.
I'll approve the request of benefited landowner Rodney Holland to clean out a portion of County Ditch 35 at his own expense. And where is 35 at?
Maple Lake Township.
Can you second that, Mike?
I will second that.
Okay, motion made by Commissioner Delight and second by Commissioner Potter. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Commissioner Potter, this next one will be you.
Oh, you're so kind.
Very important one.
Just remember, Mark, that your benevolent acts will be richly rewarded in another life.
Oh, darn, I
So
gotta wait
next
that
up,
long.
maybe our auditor would like to speak to this next one first.
Board, I can. I think right now it's just more of a FYI, to acknowledge the fact that the state did reimburse us for our legal expenses for the OSA lawsuit. Remember, the OSA named us in a lawsuit?
Yep.
It wasn't alphabetical. We don't know why they named us in the lawsuit, but we incurred legal fees in order to exercise our right to choose our CPA firm. The reimbursement back to us was $70,303.41.
That's what our cost was then with,
Yeah.
associated with Becker County.
Trying to figure out who the author was of the bill, we know that Rebecca Otto, or the state auditor, had said, hey, they shouldn't have to pay these legal fees. Current auditor, Blaha, echoed that, says, hey, Wright County and Becker, they shouldn't pay that legal fee. So they didn't stand in the way. They wanted us to get reimbursed. It did pass last year, but then it got vetoed. This year it did go through. So we're trying to figure out who we really need to thank, and I think we're just going to reach out.
We should find out. I know Representative Lazaro was very active in it, I know. I don't know if he was the author or not.
Representative Sarah Anderson who was the author of that bill, but she didn't get reelected. And I think it was just re-brought up, and I'm not sure if other people had signed their name on it besides that. Mr. Chair, I did talk with Julie Blaha about this situation here, and she thought that this was just an aberration of the law, that you should be reimbursed, and this was just nonsense from day one. This is acknowledging that this is actually the check, so it's not, we sent you the wrong number because 55 cents too much or too little or something
Board,
like that?
I feel like Jerry Maguire, we have the money, so show me, this is in our bank account. So.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Do you need a motion for that, or just
I think it's just an FYI.
Okay.
I think you wanted me to bring back who we really should be thanking. It's tucked into an omnibus bill, so we lost who the author was.
I just know that the original author was Sarah Anderson.
Right. She was adamant in fighting for our rights there.
Okay. Thank you. It's after 9:22. Mr. Virgil Hawkins, our highway engineer. Good morning, Virgil.
Morning, Board of Commissioners. I have one item for you to consider this morning, and it's a MnDOT agreement that the board approved on March 26th, but when MnDOT got it back, they noticed there were some corrections needed with some of the verbiage. The main thing was the word recipient county. They didn't have it in there in the proper places, so there were 42 instances throughout the agreement that needed to be updated, so we
42.
yeah, they had local government instead of recipient county, so kind of a technicality, but MnDOT would like us to reapprove this agreement for federal fund exchange. And so there's a resolution going along with it that also rescinds that prior agreement from March 26th.
I'll make a motion to, no, I'm sorry, Commissioner Potter.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to reapprove the agency agreement with the correct verbiage in it.
Motion by Commissioner Potter.
Oh, I gotta second it. I'll second it.
Okay, second by Commissioner Delight. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you.
And I'll make a
Also
motion
Let's
to,
make sure we do that as a roll call as it is a resolution, so.
well, there's two of them, isn't there? Because the other one is a resolution.
Just had it as one, but.
For the second thing?
The agreement will need to be signed, but then there's a resolution.
Okay.
So we just approved the agreement?
But we didn't
So
vote yet,
now,
though.
okay. Now we need to approve the resolution.
We didn't vote on this one yet.
No, we didn't vote on the first one.
Okay. I didn't realize you took it as two separate, one approving the agreement, the second one to approve the resolution.
Fair enough.
Is that okay?
That's fine, as long as we make sure we,
So this is
Vote the
for
resolution as a roll
this motion
call.
was for approving the agreement.
Yeah.
That's as I understood it, and I want to make sure we reflect that appropriately in the minutes, so.
That's the way we got it. So,
Okay.
okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. So the agreement is approved. Now the resolution.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution.
I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner DeLine, second by Commissioner Potter to approve the resolution. This is a roll call vote. Mike Lunde's
Aye.
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 Okay. That's it?
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Now we're down to items for consideration, and our beloved administrator has agreed to do the minutes for that long committee of the whole meeting on July 23rd.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Committee of the Whole met on the 23rd of July with all commissioners in attendance, as well as staff from various departments, course administration, IT, and Health and Human Services predominantly, as the topic was a continuation of discussions we had starting at the Technology Committee regarding the Health and Human Services call center and the county phone system. If you'll allow, I'll keep it at a very high level. This discussion really
I actually
started.
think that would be good, because if I remember that meeting, we went over stuff to something else, back to that, and yeah, it was.
Correct. We
talked
really
lot
had a
about the same
discussion that
issue.
did get into pretty good detail of the nuts and bolts of the phone system, how it operates, and how the logistics of various systems stack on top of each other. Had some good discussion on those logistics, as well as I view it, the functionality that Health and Human Services and other departments would like to see,
Job normally.
as well as some of the goals of the commissioners in the way that we provide service to the public relative to the phone system. So cutting basically to the summary, it was decided that in the short term, we would upgrade, patch up the system that we currently have, which is upgrade the call center software to version 7.0. With that cost of $32,000 for setup and $45,000 for the annual maintenance, to get us through the short term, and then the long term. Within 3 months, IT was to work with Health and Human Services to develop a long-term vision and solution, which will be presented to the board. So Mark Kellogg, I know, has been working on getting that moving. So I can speak in more detail in some of the other points of the meeting, but that was a very high-level overview.
Okay, so a motion to approve the
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve.
minutes and the recommendation.
And the recommendation.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner DeLine, second by Commissioner Potter. Further discussions?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
We'll go with Commissioner Potter first.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just for the public to know, with the call center and this is the beauty of, beauty and a curse in the same breath there, with the formation of the IT committee, to see things like this that had a system that it was coming up to end of life and nobody was really aware of it until all of a sudden, oh, by the way, it's to the end. What are we going to do about it? And all these options seem to be expensive, but then you have to make sure it integrates into the rest of the system here, because you can't have 15 different computer systems out there that don't talk to one another. So this is one of those things that the beauty of having the IT is to make sure that all these different programs, actually, we know when their end of life is, know upgradable, expandable, scalable, whatever that terminology you need to work with is, and to make sure that we're not just chasing our tail and just grabbing something off the shelf and creating a bigger mess down the road. So kudos for getting some of these things out there and putting us in the, what is termed as the information age here.
Okay, thank you. And then one of the things with the motion and recommendation too is that IT is still working with HHS and the other departments to come up with a final solution. So this is going to get us through for the next
3 to 6
few
months.
years, whatever, months anyway.
At minimum.
Yeah.
We could choose to extend it out further, but I think the discussion kind of was this will get us to that 3-month period at minimum, where we'll identify the longer solution.
Hopefully within a year before we have to pay another year's
Correct.
requirement, because at that point, then you might as well wait another year, because it's $45,000.
And one of the other things too for people is that I heard several times from the IT department was the security. Right now, our phone system is vulnerable to attack, so this is going to fix that, you know, so at least we won't have that issue.
I am disappointed that, that this was an all of a sudden, that somebody dropped the ball, and person's no longer here, so that this should have been caught last year
Oh,
and
absolutely.
discussed.
But do we just have to deal with it going
Yep.
forward?
So that's what we're doing.
All right, so a motion is made and seconded. Let's have a vote on that, so with the minutes and the recommendation. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Minutes are approved with the recommendation. The Personnel Committee, Commissioner Lyden, you said you'd be gracious enough to do those.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Personnel Employee Relations Committee met on July 24th. The discussion was the reclassification of an OT1 position in IT technology. And really what this ended up doing was correcting that this person had been working out of class for a long time. The question is whether it's an OT2 or administrative assistant. But because in administrative assistants, we don't have a job description, a generic job description for that, where we do for an OT2. The decision was to reclassify this position to an OT2, and then let the administrative review go through to see if it should actually be classified as something completely different. But this person had been doing a lot more than OT1 for quite a while, so this was just kind of correcting a mistake was kind of made.
Okay. So,
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes and the recommendations.
Second.
motion by Commissioner Delight and second by Commissioner Potter. Further discussion. Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. And Commissioner Delight is also gracious enough to do the technology minutes, even though none of us here today were at the meeting,
Well,
right? Is this the one we all missed?
yep.
I think Christine, Commissioner Houston was there, though. But she's not here today.
No, she's not here.
Yeah, and, yeah, as far as being gracious, when you had that hammer at my head in the back room, I'm not so sure if that's gracious at all or not. Hey,
It's
anyway.
referred to as the Waverly Applied Pressure Technique.
Is that, okay. Draft CIP was discussed at the Technology Committee. You know what, maybe, well, actually, our illustrious county administrator was not there
I
either.
was not at attendance at this meeting either.
Anyway, what this was a discussion regarding the 2020 projects for the CIP. The whole idea was to try and figure out, and there's going to be a lot more discussions going forward here in the next few weeks on this subject, but what actually the technology department can get accomplished in 2020 with what we currently have, what we currently need, you know, with the short staff that technology has, how we want to fix it. Do we want to use outside sources for particular projects? Just there's so many different things that really need to get done, and that's where the discussion was. And the recommendation was again to review this 2020 CIP technology budget request at the upcoming budget committee of the whole meeting, which was scheduled for this week, August 8th, on Thursday. So there'll be a lot more discussions on Thursday regarding this whole issue on technology as a discussion, as a starting point. If I remember correctly, aren't we meeting on the 7th too?
Correct. The 7th will be an overview of the budget and refresh of the 5-year forecast document and the appropriation request. The 8th, we'll talk CIP.
Okay, so many more discussions to be coming forth on the technology subject. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
And the recommendations, okay. Motion by
Second that.
Commissioner Lyden, second by Commissioner Potter to approve the minutes and the recommendations. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. The minutes and the recommendations are approved. Next up, Advisory Committee, Advisory Board updates, right?
Since we were off last week, I think the only real information that needs to be brought forth was, how was the fair, Charlie?
The fair was actually pretty good. I was at the Fair Board meeting last night. Attendance was off slightly. Where do I have this here? Actually got a form I'll leave in the back for anybody that wants to look through. But the people that were at the fair were spending a lot of money. And I know I saw our administrator there, had the whole family there, and spent a lot of money. So, yeah. But anyway, so the sales, it considered a very good fair. Income was up about over $9,000 from last year with just the spending, even though our admission was off. And Sunday afternoon, I don't know if you remember, there was a very severe thunderstorm that came through. Yeah, so it really curtailed the Sunday attendance. Otherwise, I think we would have been right up with last year, so.
But Mr. Chair, the demo derby went on, right?
The demo derby
That's what is important.
And I was there, and it was rather cool, too, with that wind blowing with the rain.
I seen the pictures in the, I think it was in the Journal Press, and the kiddie demo derby. I'd never seen that before. That looked like it was a blast.
So
That I gotta figure out how they can do something like that in the future. But that, and then they also had the lawnmower demo derby too, which I'd never heard of either.
And then also I wanted to point out, next year will be the Wright County Fair's 150th years of the fair. They did have a couple years where they did not have a fair. During World War II, I think, the fair was actually canceled, and the fairgrounds were used as a prisoner of war camp for German POWs. So, but they've been going now. Next year will be 150 years, so we're going to be doing some special things. So hopefully it's a real big fair next year. So
Hopefully the weather will be agreeable.
yep.
That's cool.
Okay, and then
Our administrator, did he play at the?
Not this year.
he just played with the kids.
That's right. We certainly,
It was a family day.
we contributed to the economic stimulus of the fair, certainly.
Good. The kids get to go on all the rides they wanted, or did Dad be the bad guy?
Dad is typically the bad guy.
And they all went home with belly aches from carnival food?
Yeah. It's kind of the template for fair experiences.
Okay, and then also, last Wednesday, I met at the Emergency Services Board in St. Cloud, and we voted to approve the budget. There were two members that were not there, but they're gonna add, they're gonna allow them to vote, to sign off on it later, so, and basically, we're pretty much flat from last year. I think I mentioned that already. And then there was, something too that we're looking into, because the Emergency Services Board takes care of a lot of the communication things. The Emergency Communication Board is under that. And we did have an issue on June 15th in southwestern Minnesota where every 911 phone would not work. The entire 911 system was down. And unfortunately, there was a young child that was injured in a farm accident, and they could not get through to 911, and I believe the little boy died, so.
That's sad.
So anyway, the text to 911 did work, but I think what we have to kind of get out to people is if 911 didn't work, people should have the old-fashioned way of calling the sheriff's office. I always dial that 763-682-1162 for non-emergencies, so you'd be able to get through on that. There's probably another number, but
had they done that, they would have been able to get through. So it was an unfortunate
That's
thing.
in Wright County.
Yeah,
There's
but-
still other counties.
Yeah, but also, our state, I can't think of the title that he has, but that oversees this all stuff at the state level, was very unhappy with the response from some of our vendors as far as getting the repair out and getting notifications sent. And I did say text to 911 would have worked also.
Down
But-
there?
Yeah,
Are they
yeah.
set up for it?
I think we're statewide right now with text to
Oh, are we?
911. Yeah.
Good.
I'll correct that if I'm wrong, but I do believe right now they are, so. Anyway, that's basically it. That's all I have. Commissioner Potter.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. We didn't have a meeting last week, but I was out in Washington DC pitching for I-94, the segment between Albertville and Monticello. We were looking for part of the build grant, the federal money. We were soliciting for $25 million, and we went out with Metro, Maple Grove and that, pitching for another $25 million for the 610, finish out that interchange and that. And then some lane expansions in that area there. We did get quite an audience when we sat in front of FHWA, which is the Federal Highway Authority. We ended up having the high-ranking banana called Anthony Bedell sat in our meeting, and that was a surprise because they were going down the pecking order. He wasn't supposed to be there, but he was there, and he's got a lot of information on the dynamics of this project, that it actually helps not just Minnesota, but from Chicago all the way to Seattle, and industry leaders in the trucking world throughout the thing all noted that this part of the Western Metro is the biggest bottleneck problem that they have getting their freight through. Last year, if you recall, we solicited for the St. Michael to Albertville part, and we ended up losing out to Duluth. Losing there, but that was the Twin Ports project just checked all the boxes, and it was a project that was been on the books for a while. We're looking pretty positive. We'll know at the end of October if we're successful. I believe that the fact that we're working together, not only Metro, MnDOT, District 3, and the whole corridor, and when MnDOT in 2017 hired John Tompkins to be their freight advisor, that's been helping us build our case out there. And I know that being that Congressman Emmer has been pitching hard to get Transportation Secretary Cho out here to actually look at this, and she's slated to be out here sometime in the next month. We'll find out when, and if she shows up. She was supposed to be here last year. She didn't show up. I'm feeling good about this because sometimes you got to be a bridesmaid a couple times before you get to the dance here. And the fact that the congressman has been working really hard on our behalf on getting this done. I think the president wants to see a project done here. And I know Vice President Pence, when I talked to him last year about this, the Midwest being flyover on these things, and we got to start getting some projects here. And he being from Indiana, agreed. We've also had Congressman Stauber and Congresswoman Craig pitching hard for this. Both are engaged fully in this process, trying to get enough to get us over the hump to get this done. They were aware that this project wasn't slated originally until 2025, but the idea is, since the rest of it's under construction, just do it all now and get it over with, and then it would complete a 40-mile segment of 94. All reconstructed, and that had a lot of appeal. That definitely got the eyebrows raised. Yeah, we can get a 40-mile stretch instead of these little 3-5 mile snippets.
Well, the other thing is that I would hope they would look at it, is that this would be the most cost-effective time to do it.
Correct.
That's where they should be also looking at it.
Common sense in government.
Yeah, I know. I know. It goes against everything that happens, but
The other thing
I'm
is-
still holding my breath that it's going to happen.
Yeah, there's $900 million available in the pot this year, and there was 773, I believe, was the number of requests for that money. And if it's similar to last year, over 2/3 of them will go in the round file right off the bat because they don't meet the criteria. They don't have supporting documentation. We do have that supporting documentation there, and thank you, Virgil, for your part in District 3 for putting that together. And all these little things all add up to the complete package to get there. So we were on the short list last year. We just missed out. I know we're on the short list this year. It's hopefully we can get this thing resolved. It'll be nice if we can. A good showing with the administrators and mayors from St. Michael and Albertville, and the administrator from Maple Grove, and Tim McNeil also from the city of Dayton, because that's affected in all this. Good, effective talk, and got in front of the correct people, and that's what counts. I mean, when I go out to DC and you meet with Congress people, it's all fine and dandy, but the ones you really want to get in front of is FHWA. When you get to sit down with them, instead of having to relay it through a congressperson, second, third, fourth hand news, they get it direct.
What does that stand for?
Federal Highway Administration. And they're the ones that get to decide. They're the ones that give you the blessing or the thumbs up, thumbs down where you get the money or not. So that was, like I say, good, and looking for another trip out there sometime September for the last pitch to get, in case there's something we missed, in case there's something we need to add to it, because the idea is to get to the yes, and if at the end of October they're supposed to announce all this stuff, we're probably going to go out sometime towards the end of September and for one more time, probably a 2-day shot, and just get out there and what else do we need to do to get this, and hopefully have Elaine Cho at a meeting. That would be really a big blessing if we can get her there. The other thing we had the other week was coffee with the commissioners. If you recall, most all of us was there.
That wasn't last week, that was the week
That
before.
was the week before, yeah. And that was just before one DC trip, but that was good as foster care, and you can chime in on what you recall. That it was actually good, and listen to the stories on the challenges with foster care in our county, and just one of those things, unless you're involved in it, you really don't know it's sitting there.
Yeah, well, this is kind of a unique situation or system where it's kind of goes back to the old ways of it takes a village to raise a child. So this was working with all the different, I want to say religious, which I guess for most part religious groups, churches and that sort of stuff. Not just them, but also some of the other nonprofits to work together, eliminate duplication, and try and keep kids out of foster care and in the homes. Being there for the parents for short-term help, helping them, lifting them up a little bit. Not giving people handouts, but giving them hands up to try and prevent things from happening so that the kids end up in foster care.
We reduce some of the stressors in their life that are causing the problems.
So it's not something the county can do alone. It's not something that any one person can do by themselves, and it's looking at working as a group to do it, to solve as many of the issues we can as a group.
And you gotta applaud the people that were there, because their passion for this is above reproach. And they care deeply about the kids and how they get this thing done. And just God bless them for being there and helping.
And we have another one tomorrow?
Thursday
Thursday.
at 9:30 out at the LEC.
Thursday.
So then the last thing was Bob now had left, but the last week was last week it was a PFM. That's our Badgic Fund. They had their annual little meeting on forecasting and investing and everything there. Interesting dais of people. Charlie's favorite AMC person, Matt, was there on some of the challenges for the county program aid and everything there. It was basically what's looking forward with investment strategies going forward for all entities. I mean, we're all looking at the 2021 has a 4.4, I want to say 4.5 trillion dollars in business debt that's to be reset. And what influence could that have on the market? Because that's a lot of money in 1 year, and that's when if you subscribe to the different gurus that tell you when the crash is coming, they're thinking 2021, because one of the factors is they figure a about 1/3 of the companies that have corporate debt will have it all figured out and know which way to go. 1/3 will kind of be waiting for signs, the tariff trade or whatever, and 1/3 will be scrambling after the fact to try to figure out what to do because they're going to be confused. So it can have an effect on the markets, and it's one of those, it's good information. Commissioner Vetch was there for a while until he had to go to ERP. I would strongly encourage any other commissioners that want to just kind of get a handle on how these people are thinking on how you do this. I have the 3-ring binder in the back. I'll leave it on the bullpen. Anybody wants to see that. It's interesting to keep up on that, to see how decisions influences time. You have to kind of anticipate your money and how it's coming in. And as we know, our liquid position is really good, and our investment strategy is pretty strong as per the letter came from Standard & Poor's agreeing at that. That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Dillon?
Oh, you don't need to hear from me.
Okay.
But there's the guy over there, the funny-looking guy, he might have something.
Okay. Can I just do one thing before you talk? We have 5 Tuesdays in October. Have we picked out the day that we're not going to meet?
We have not picked a date in October to cancel.
Could we put that on the agenda for next week? Because my wife and I are planning a little vacation.
It's their first week.
Yeah, well, it doesn't matter. We just need to know when it is.
I think Commissioner Vetch was thinking about the first week or something.
Okay, he had not discussed it with me. We'll put it on probably the board meeting on the 20th will be our next one. If that is
Okay, that should be.
That's getting pretty late already if it's going to, well, now, October. Yeah, it'll be okay.
I haven't had any discussion with any of the commissioners on a specific date. I know there is a conference for some of my staff that'll be going that first week of October too. So
that probably would be.
one of the first two, I guess, would be
a good time.
preferable.
And that
Selfishly,
that
for me.
also works out with me, Mr. Chair. Transportational Alliance Board was planning a retreat on that Tuesday that was matching up with everybody else's, so that actually would be good if it's the first Tuesday.
So the 8th then probably. But we'll put it on the agenda and we'll take action, but I'll just let my wife know we're leaning toward the 8th.
Canceling the 8th.
Right?
Yeah. Leaning towards that, but
Yeah,
we'll have to make the final decision.
So the 8th would actually be the second Tuesday.
Oh, it would be the second one. Okay.
The first would be the first one.
Oh, really?
Correct.
Yeah. You know what? Let's just talk about it, because I would rather do the 8th because I have,
When is your guys'?
Yeah.
My
Stuff
preference
coming
would be to cancel the 8th as well.
Oh, it would be, okay.
We just figured out.
All right.
okay, well, we'll figure it out, yeah, okay. All right, anything else to come before the board? Oh, Lee, that's right. You had something else.
Yeah,
Sorry.
just
How can you forget about him?
I'm out of practice.
Oh,
Just a few things and largely saying thanks to a bunch of folks. It's budget week this week amongst staff. We're working hard to try and get everything prepared for the budget meetings coming up this week. So big thanks to Bob and his staff and our treasurer, Sue Regine. I want to also extend thanks personally to the IT managers and Jen Rassett for me as interim IT director, helping, working hard to get that pulled together. Have had some discussions with our IT director-to-be, still planning on the 26th as a start date in August. Had some discussions with him about some documents I've been forwarding, and we've had a few question and answer sessions back and forth, so it's been good. I know he's excited, and I think we're all excited as well.
I'm glad that he's so interested already, before he's even being paid, that he's willing to take his personal time to be able to hit the ground running almost when he gets in. Looking forward
That was
to
the
it.
hope, so. I think you were notified, board. Bids came in on the 1st of August regarding your government center project. I'd like to thank Contigrity Group for being great in that process. We had a very high number of bidders, 154 people attended the bid meeting. I think that was great and resulted in, we're qualifying the bids right now, which will be presented to you at the workshop on the 13th. But the numbers look very, very good at this point, so just wanted to call that out. One other thing, on August 2nd, Sheriff Derringer, Captain Pat O'Malley, and myself were honored by the 257 Military Police Company out of Monticello for some work we've done, allowing them to train in our jail. So thanks. I'm very humbled by the opportunity to receive a award from them, and thanks them for all the great things that they do, the men and women of the 257th. So.
Well, I understand that the National Guard really likes our old jail because it's almost identical to the places where they have to deal with it.
That is correct. That's what we were told. They've been deployed to Guantanamo Bay at one point, and I was told our old jail facility here is very similar. So
That's
it's worked out well.
hard to believe.
Well, it's good, it can be used for something.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it's been a nice
Absolutely.
partnership and
Yeah, I'm
good
glad to hear
mutual
it.
working relationship. So.
Good.
Sounds good. Oh, so then, anything else to come before the board? Otherwise, we are adjourned at 10 a.m.